In today's episode, I'm going to teach you how to day trade using Lightspeed Trading as your broker, and this will be a platform demo where I'm going to show you how to use their desktop trading software called Lightspeed Trader. Now, Lightspeed is one of the few boutique broker-dealers that have proprietary software. They have their very own platform that they've custom built. A lot of the boutique brokers, they license software from third-party software companies like DAS Trader or Sterling Trading, which is nice in a way because once you're used to DAS or Sterling, you can easily switch brokers but be using the same software. Now, as a matter of fact, Lightspeed will allow you to use DAS Trader or Sterling, but you have to pay a fee. Or you could use their Lightspeed Trader for free. So this episode will be a platform demo where I'm going to walk you through how I use Lightspeed Trader, how I've optimized the windows, kind of customized the settings a little bit to get the most out of the platform for my style of trading. At the end of this episode, I'm going to give Lightspeed Trading a raw score where I'll share with you on a scale of 0 to 10 how I rank this platform. Now, you probably already know that I'm going to rank it well. This is the platform that I use as my day-to-day broker, but there are some room for improvements as with any broker. So we'll do a full broker comparison, and I think by the end of this episode, you're going to be able to make a decision of whether or not Lightspeed Trading is going to be a good broker for you. It makes a lot of sense for me, but your circumstances may be different and it may not make sense for you. At the beginning of this episode, let me just tell you, I have no affiliate relationship with Lightspeed Trading or with any other broker dealer for that matter. So my opinions, and it's just my own experience. They're not colored by the fact that I'll get paid if you sign up for one broker or another. And I think you guys appreciate that. So if you do, I hope you hit the thumbs up and I hope you subscribe to the channel. And let's go ahead and dive right in. Now, we'll do the full broker comparison, comparing Lightspeed Trading with almost a dozen other brokers here. But before we do, let's pull up the Lightspeed Trader desktop software. So this is it right here. It's lightweight, it's simple, it's relatively easy to use. I will say when I first installed it many years ago, I found it a little hard to understand, but now I've kind of figured out its quirks. So I think I'll be able to get you up to speed pretty quickly. Now, what I'm gonna do for you guys is I'm actually gonna give you a link. It's gonna be pinned to the top of the comments and posted in the description where you can download my layout, including my hotkeys, and then boom, you can just install it on your own machine right away. So if you want to do that, you can go to layout, you'll go to load saved layout, and then you'll just grab it from your downloads folder, and boom, you'll have my layout. It'll look just like this. But it's still important to know how to use the software, so let's go ahead and start diving in. Now, one thing that I just want to say is that when I'm ranking the quality of a broker, the things that I'm thinking about for my purposes, reliability, and speed. I need a broker that's reliable. I can't have the platform crashing or not working well on me. That's not acceptable. And I need speed. I need fast order execution. There's no question about it. And these are two areas that Lightspeed shines. Having used this software for all the years that I've been using it, it has been a top performing platform. I don't have to worry about this software crashing. And order execution speed is fantastic. So that I just want to say kind of at the beginning, because that's really those are like the most important things. Because if it's not fast, it's not going to work. Doesn't matter. Anything else is not relevant. If it's not a fast broker, doesn't matter. And number two, if it's not reliable, if the platform's crashing, it's not going to work. You can't use that either. Now, as I was editing this episode, I realized that maybe it'd be helpful to illustrate the speed advantage that you get with Lightspeed. And so this is what I ended up doing. Now, on our broker comparison sheet, you'll actually see the timed speeds of all these different brokers. We've got, I think, 13 of them on this sheet. And Lightspeed is among the fastest. And this is based on the data that's readily available from these brokers. So they actually disclose their order execution speed on their websites as part of their regulatory filings. So you could see which brokers are the fastest. Now, speed for some people is not the primary goal of their broker. Some people would prioritize a commission-free broker over speed, but I'll tell you that you generally don't get both. You either get really fast speed and you pay a commission for it, or you get free commission trading and it's a little slower. So it's one or the other. So now let's put this into perspective. So I actually funded accounts with 10 of these brokers that are on our list, 10 of the ones that are sort of the most popular, most common. And I actually went ahead and timed the order execution. This right here is the slowest. And the way I timed it, this was my methodology. I timed it from the second I clicked the buy button until the position appeared in my position window. So that to me was the execution time. This one right down here is Fidelity. Fidelity Active Trader, desktop software. This was how long it took right here for it to say the order filled. But then this was how long it took for the order to actually show up in my positions window. Okay, so Fidelity set the bar pretty low. The second slowest broker was Robinhood. Not surprising, Robinhood, commission-free broker, it's not going to be the fastest. The third was Webull, and third from last, third from slowest. You know, and in my experience, it really wasn't that bad. It's only, in fact, marginally slower than Thinkorswim. Interactive Brokers is right here. This is TradeStation. This is Ocean One Securities, which is an offshore broker-dealer. This is CMEG, and that's Lightspeed. That is my time trade on Lightspeed. So now let's put that in perspective compared to Fidelity. Wow, that's the execution time for just one trade. And so when I'm talking about speed being important, this is really what I'm saying. When I see a stock squeezing up and I want to get in, I want that order to go to the market and get me shares immediately. And when I see one of my exit indicators and I want to get out, I want to be at that position like that. And that is what I get at Lightspeed. And I do pay a fee for it. I pay the fee through the commission. But in my opinion, that is money well spent. So top level, this is a high performing, fast platform with great order execution. So really fast order routing. All right, so when I first laid this out or got this platform set up, I learned that they have a dock. So basically everything kind of docks off this top menu bar here, which is kind of a clunky bar, but it is just sort of the way it is. So I set up my positions window in the top left corner right here, as you can see. And so just walking you through window by window, the way I set up my positions window, you can go into settings right here and you can change which columns are displayed. So these are the columns that are available, and there's a lot of them. And then these are the columns that are displayed right here. So you can add, you can add a lot of data if you want to. It's just a question of what's helpful, what's necessary, and then you go from there. So if you decide you want to add the 52-week high, you click the item, you click add, and then you go down here and then you can move it up or down. So see how I move this up like this? So now I'm going to click on this, and that's the 52-week high right there. So now we could just right click and remove that column entirely if we want to. We can also click and drag the column to put it in a different spot. So it's fairly easy to do that. And of course, by clicking on it, you're sorting all of the data in this table by that column. So I'm going to remove that column. And as you can see, I have everything sorted by position, by how much I'm up on the stock. So that's kind of how I've always done it. And that for me, it just feels most intuitive. You could do it alphabetically if you wanted to, but that doesn't, I don't know. This is just what makes sense to me. So I've got the symbol. I've got my position size, which is 0 for these positions that I was holding. This is my cost basis. So if I take a trade on this, I'll just do 250 shares with a hotkey. You can see, first of all, instantaneous execution, and boom, that's a $2.50 winner. So in and out like that. But you can see how my cost basis changed to 365, right? So you'll see your cost basis, you'll see your open P&L, and then you'll see your realized P&L, your total profit. And that for me is all that I need. I really don't need more than that. Now you can add, like I said, you can go in, you can add more columns as you'd like. Because this is a broker where you pay fees and commissions, you may decide you want to see how many shares you've been trading. And so this kind of gets into a little bit more nuance of the commission structure on these brokers, which we'll come back to. But I have, as you can see, I've added columns for buy shares, the number of shares I've bought, the number of shares I've added liquidity on, the total number of shares I've traded, and the total number of trades I've taken. So these are all added here, and we'll come back and we'll touch on how I use those later. I don't use them for my trading. I use them later at the end of the day for calculating or getting a rough idea of what my fees and commissions would be. So they're there, but I have them just hidden. So I don't look at them while I'm trading, but I can check it later. All right, so that's my positions window. Now the window below that is active orders. So this is very important for me. I've had times where, I just had orders that I left here and I didn't see them. And then I logged out of my platform, not realizing that I had open orders. And I come back the next day and uh-oh, holy smokes, those orders filled later in the day. That's a major problem. So I always like to have a separate window that shows all of my active orders. So those are orders that are sitting live in the market. Now I'm going to cancel them with a hotkey so they're gone. But this is a very simple window. You just go to new and you go down to orders. Let's see. So all of these items are available from the new. And then you've got your positions window, which is right here, and your orders window right here. All right, so when we go on the settings widget, on this one, you can do display and just show active orders. Now, some people will have all of them in one, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I only want to have the active orders in this window. And then you could change the colors if you wanted to, but I don't think that I've changed these. I think these are all the same as they've always been. In any case, if you download my layout, you'll have them the same as I do, but I don't think I've ever changed those. All right, so we'll cancel that. So that's my active orders window. Now we've got my executed or canceled orders window. So that makes sense now that you've seen the active orders one. This is just the same, except I uncheck the first one and I just check the two bottom ones. So executed orders and canceled orders. And again, I don't think I changed the coloring on these. I think this is default. But it's possible that I did at some point. And I find this to be helpful. So green are buy orders, red are sell orders, and then the gray are orders that were canceled. Now the news window, this is not what I use primarily for breaking news. I don't use it actually for breaking news at all. But I could pull up a stock and it'll show me some headlines there. I kind of have it just to have it. I mean, every now and then, if I'm not sure what the headline is and I don't see it on my primary platform that I use for news, then I could check here. But you know, a lot of times I don't use it. So anyways, you could take it or leave it. The settings, the way this is set up is date symbol and then the text. So, and you've got some more that are available. Days, 30 days. You could go down to just like 7 days. That would probably be fine, or even just 1 day. But either way, whatever you want would be fine there. And then the way this works is whenever I type in a new stock, it links to that stock, right? So it switches to whichever window is active, which is the functionality that I like. Now, short request is its own window right here. You won't get this by default. You have to ask them to add or enable short request. And what you can do is if you have a stock that you're looking at, let's say WOK. So this stock has an L right here, and that L means it's not easy to borrow, but they can locate shares for you. So now you type in, I want to locate shares, you click locate, and they'll tell you how much it would cost to borrow 100 shares. So it's spinning its wheels. Let's see. So there you go. So it's almost 5 cents for 100 shares. So, you know, so it's not nothing. The problem here is while Lightspeed does have decent inventory, they usually have shares available to borrow, and so they have a second one here. They have 2 different vendors. This one's cheaper. Oh, they actually have 3. So then you can choose which one's the cheapest. And since obviously there's a huge difference here, this for 10,000 shares is $50. This for 10,000 shares is $500. So you get to shop around. Which person do I want to borrow from? The person charging $50 for 10,000 shares or the person charging $500? Well, probably the one that's charging less. This one's charging $100, so that one's better, but you've got 3 options here. I'll teach you more about all of the different things and what this all means here in the top corner when we get onto the level 2 window. But if you are a short seller, you can use the short locate button and then you can borrow shares. And once you borrow shares, those are your shares to trade with for the rest of the day. So if you borrow 1,000 shares, you could short 1,000 shares, you can cover, then you could short again, then you cover, then you short again, you cover, you short again, you cover. But at the end of the day, those shares go back to the person you borrowed from. So that you can only use them for day trading. Now, if you hold them overnight, then you'll pay the borrowing fee for a second day, the next day. So you'll pay a second borrowing fee. Sometimes people will do that. This gets a little complicated, but sometimes some stocks become very difficult to borrow. You can't get shares reserved. And so, you'll come here to try to short it and it'll just say nothing's available. So if you have shares and then other people are telling you, I can't get any more shares, they ran out of shares, and you think you want to trade this the next day, some people will hold overnight just simply because they want to make sure they can trade it again the next day. But it's forcing them to hold overnight, which carries its own set of risks. Okay, then down below that we have a messages window, and this just tells you basically, it gives you some messages about your trade. So if I tried to do a huge order on the S&P 500, it would give me a rejection. Can't buy enough, I don't have enough buying power. If I tried to trade when I'm below my max loss, I'll get a rejection saying, nope, can't trade below max loss. We'll come back to how to set that up in a moment. So now let's look at our level 2 window. So at Lightspeed Trading, they call level 2, which is what you would expect. Other platforms call it montage. Some have just funny names for it. So anyways, they call it level 2. That's nice. That's appreciated. So you pop out your level 2 window, and by default, you could see mine have this color scheme, but that's not what it comes with. So the way I changed that, you can go into settings here, the settings widget, or you can right click on the window and go to settings. But if you right click on the window, you could also go straight to design, level 2 design, fonts and colors. We'll go to settings first. And then when you're in the settings window, you can click on design, and then you can go to level 2 design, fonts and colors. So 2 ways to get to the same place. So now they give you a number of different settings here. On active level 2 windows here, you can change what the colors are. So by default, they use like a gradient, kind of like some of the other brokers do, which I'm not a big fan of. I find it difficult to distinguish the tiers when you have this gradient. Now this one's not too bad. Think or swim, which I have up here, is a bit worse because it's really like this sort of blue. It's just hard to tell the difference between 84 and 85. Yes, the price has changed, but it's just not clear. I like to see a very distinguished difference between the tiers of the market. It just helps me visualize when we have a big stack of buyers, like we do here at 83, or when we don't have a big stack of buyers or sellers. So for me, I went ahead and made my first tier green. So I just go in here to BG, I change it to green. The font is black, so no issue there, leave it all black. And then I change the background on this one here to this sort of salmon color, the background here to yellow, the background here to blue, and then the background of all the rest are gray. And then for the inactive level 2s, active would be the one that you clicked on right now that has this yellow ring around it. And that means if I press my hotkey, hotkeys will execute against this window right here. Not this one, not this one, not this one, but this one. So every other one is inactive. Now you could choose to have the exact same colors on active and inactive level 2 windows. I mean, that would be fine if that's what you wanted to do. Nothing wrong with that. But for me, I prefer to have the inactive ones be just a more pastel. So I just visually can tell which window I'm focusing on. All right, so that's the first thing that I do. My decimal points, I set it just 2 decimal points. But if I was trading penny stocks, I could switch to 4. That would be fine if you wanted to. Although, let's pull up a penny stock here just real quick. So in the background here, I've got this software, Day Trade Dash, which I use for scanning and for charting. Let's look for a penny stock. So MNDR. So MNDR, you can see automatically switches the decimal points because it's a penny stock down to 4 places. So this platform does it for you automatically. It drops them when you're above $1 and it adds them back when you're below $1. So you don't actually have to change it. You could if you wanted to, but you don't have to. All right, so then we'll go back into settings. We'll go to design, level 2. You can change the position of the 3 data points, which is the market maker, the price, and the number of shares available. And this is how I have it. Some people will mirror it, so it is sort of opposite, but most people don't. So this is how I have it appear. You can show the column lines, you could take them away. You could show the column names, you could take them away. So, you know, this gives you that flexibility to really customize this to the way you like. And then of course in font, you can choose your font. So if you're that person that says, I've got to do papyrus, papyrus is what my life is about, I'm a papyrus person, do papyrus, do you, right? Lightspeed's not going to stand in your way. If this was what feels right to you, you can do it. I love that. So they give you the freedom, and I think that's wonderful. All right, now I don't like papyrus. In fact, I despise it. But don't even get me started. All right, let's go back. So we're gonna go move this to 11. All right, so there we go. So that's what I like to see. That looks clean, no issue there. And then this little button here for prints, if you unclick that, you won't see the prints there, but I like to keep that on. Now, you know, I'll acknowledge that you're not seeing this, you're not seeing as much data as having this separate popped out time and sales window. So if I go to new and I go to time and sales, you could see that's what I've got popped out here. The reason I like to have one popped out is because look at this, XOS is halted, right? What time's it going to resume? Well, if you've watched my episode on circuit breaker halts, you know it'll be exactly 5 minutes from the last print, which means we need to see the timestamp of the last print. It's at 10:40 and 28 seconds. So resumption will be in about a minute, 10:45 and 28 seconds. So I keep one level 2 or one time and sales window out, and it's just linked to whichever stock is in focus. And it's a little bit not perfect to do it that way. I could understand why someone else might choose to go into the settings under design, take the prints off, and then make this maybe just like a little bit smaller here, kind of like this, and then put this actual proper one here. And then if you go into here, you can go to settings, and you can kind of, you know, change this around, get rid of what you don't want. Scroll bars, you could say don't show, let's see, vertical, don't show. So you could do that. And then you just have to make it slightly bigger when you need to see that data. So you could do that. And yet it just doesn't quite, to me, look right when I try to do that. It just, everything is now scrunched, right? It looked better before. So we'll go back to display the prints, and yeah, it just feels like it looks better this way. All right, so anyway, so I just say, you know what, I'm not gonna mess around with that. I'm just gonna leave it like this, and I'll just have one, you know, big time and sales that's on the side. And yeah, it's a little annoying if this is the stock I'm trading because I have to glance over here, but it's really only, like I said, if a stock is halted. It's really only in those circumstances that I really feel like I need to look at it. The rest of the time, I don't need to check the time. That's the only time I need to know the time, is when we're dealing with a halt. So anyways, so that's for basically dealing with halts. All right, so now this is a stock, by the way, that is easy to borrow. See how it has the E right here? So that means anyone can short it, and you don't have to pay any borrowing fees. There's no borrowing fees, you don't pay to locate. If you want to short it, boom, you press the sell button, you're going to short the stock. So E means easy to borrow. L means you have to locate shares. Now, every now and then there'll be a stock, I don't know, we might have a hard time finding one right now that some will say T, which means it's on the threshold list, which means nobody can short it. No one's allowed to short it. The stock is on the threshold list, which is gets into meaning that shares were shorted and they did not clear, they didn't settle. So that potentially could indicate naked short selling. In any case, when a company has that, they go on the threshold list and you can't short until it's resolved. So now the 100 in the top corner here of our level 2 window refers to how much buying power I need in order to trade the stock. So let's jump onto the whiteboard for a second. All right, so we know that if you deposit $25,000 into a trading account, you have how much buying power? Times 4 equals 100K, right? So you got $100,000 in buying power. So that means if you wanted to buy, 10,000 shares of a $10 stock, you'd be putting in the full 100K. How much of your own cash would that require? 25%. 25%. So if they allow 4 times leverage, then you only need to put down 25% for that position. Now, if the stock says, so we'll just flip over to GameStop. No, that's not a good one. Let's go to Ford. So Ford Motor Company is 25%. You only need to put down 25%. You can use the full 4 times leverage. But here on this one right here, you've got to put down 100%, which means you cannot use leverage on it. Yes, by default, your account has 4 times leverage, but the broker and the clearing firm will choose to restrict which stocks you can actually use borrowed money on. And for a lot of very volatile, low-price stocks, they'll say, no, you can't use leverage at all. And that's true with pretty much every broker. Certainly all the retail brokers, but also commission-free brokers, but also a lot of the boutique brokers. They'll restrict leverage as well because they don't want you to blow up your account. And certainly with borrowed money, it's a bad situation for everybody. So this Ford, you have easy to borrow status, and you only have to put down 25%, which means you've got 4 times leverage. This stock is easy to borrow, but you have to put down 100% if you're going to go long. If you're going to go long, you have to put down 100%. If you're going to go short, you have to put down 300%. Whoa, wait a second. So if I want to take a 25,000 share short position on this, $25,000 short position, I would need to have $75,000 in my account, 3 times my position size. Why? Because remember, well, this is a stock that the broker's thinking it could go up 3x. It could go up 300%. It's already up 200%. Who knows? We've seen stocks go up 1,000%. So they're saying if you put your entire account into this right now and you're shorting, you could face a unlimited loss, but you could very quickly have your account go to 0. So the reason that they have these restrictions essentially is that on the back end, they have a platform that looks like this, but shows every single customer account. So they can see every customer account and they can automatically filter, this is a customer account who's using margin, which means they're using borrowed money, leverage, and is down a lot on a position. So they can go in and manually look at these accounts and say, we got to do something. The broker will step in and take over your account, essentially, auto liquidate positions. So essentially, if you're using 4 times leverage, they don't have a lot of time to make a decision because they're going to start losing their own money pretty quick. Whereas if you're just using your own cash, you're not using leverage, then the worst that can happen if you bought is it goes to 0. You lose all of your own money, but you don't lose the broker's money. So the broker doesn't want you to lose your money, but at the same time, they really don't want to lose their own money. And if you're shorting, that's the biggest risk because now you short a stock and it starts squeezing up. So by asking you to have 3 times whatever the position actually cost, essentially what they're doing is they're giving themselves time to liquidate your position if necessary. All right, so that's what these mean. 100/300 means what you need for long and what you need for short. L means you can locate shares. They might be expensive, but you can locate shares. The H right there means the stock is halted. This just got halted going back down. So that's the chart there coming back down. And the CB right here, they should change this to SSR. I'm going to give that feedback right now. They should change it to SSR. It's short sale restriction. No one calls it circuit breaker. Nobody calls it circuit breaker except for Lightspeed. It's SSR. So just call it SSR. Let's just get real. Short sale restriction. That's, and I'm not going to there's no way I would leave a broker for something like that. It doesn't really matter. But I hear people all the time who are like, Ross, what does this mean? What does this mean? So let me show you. Let me pop this out for 1 second. This is DAS Trader, DAS Trader. They're a platform that a lot of traders use. They're a software company. They're not a broker dealer. So you can actually use DAS Trader with Lightspeed if you want. This is just the level 2 window. But see how it says HTB? That means hard to borrow. HTB is hard to borrow. They say HTB instead of L for locate. And they have SSR, which means the stock is on short sale restriction. When a stock is on short sale restriction, you can't short unless it's on an uptick. So anyways, that doesn't really matter, but SSR is easier to understand because most traders today don't know what CB means. So, and you can't click on it. It doesn't hover and tell you anything. So anyways, now you know. Okay. So we've got our level 2 windows out here. These all look good. And once you create one, then you just save the settings and then you can create, 5 more, whatever. So let's see. Now, let's look at these order entry windows. Some platforms, like what I was just showing you with DAS Trader, have the level 2 window and an order entry window attached, which is really nice. These are two separate windows. And the only reason that's a problem is because when you pop out your order entry window, you go to order entry and you pop it out, now you have to link it. Okay, so go to Windows, go to order entry, and then link here the order entry to your quote window. All right, so you do it like that. You link it to your quote window right here. So that's how you do it, but it's a little bit confusing. So, other platforms, for what it's worth, Lightspeed, or what am I talking about? Thinkorswim here, they give you these little links. So you see how they link through colors. So you link all the windows together with the colors, and then they're tied together. We do something kind of similar. We link with the colors here, so they're tied together. DAS Trader is actually even a little bit worse. Theirs is confusing. Webull doesn't allow you to have multiple level 2 windows, so theirs is actually a little bit more difficult as well. Interactive Brokers has nice linking. TradeStation, theirs feels a little clunky. Anyways, linking can be a little bit of a pain. So yeah, but once you've got it set, then it's set. You just want to make sure, obviously, when you change the symbol, it changes it for that stock. And then once you've got that set, you're all set. All right, so now your order entry window, you want to go in and start changing your settings. So what I do is I go to Command. Actually, I go to Login, and I, by default, have the order type set to limit. Oops, sorry. I have the route set to NASDAQ. So go to Login, limit NASDAQ, 5,000 shares, hidden, and day, which is fine. These are the settings that I have. And then when I go to mouse, I just say don't update, don't update, don't update. So basically, and then quotes, I should actually change that to don't update. So then what this does is effectively it makes it so when you log in, it's going to automatically populate this based on what you've got set right here. And then when you change to a different stock, so if I change this to 5,000 shares and then I switch back to the SPY, it's going to leave it unchanged. Now, if you want it to change, when you pull up quotes for a different setup or a different stock, then you want to change to, let's see, set to 2,500 shares. So now watch this. So we're going to go to forward, and it switches to 2,500 shares. So if you want it to reset, then you can have it reset. And on mousing, I have it when I click an equity, I have it as don't update as well. So it's personal preference, I suppose, but this is where you would change your default order sizes, and you would change what happens when you log in and what happens when you switch to a different symbol. And then, the thing that's a little bit of a pain is that you then have to do this because you've got 4 order entry windows, right? So you got to do it for each one and then save them all. All right, so it's kind of a pain at first, but you just do it once and then you're done with it. All right, so now the next thing I want to do, and I guess I'll just two other small items. So under the stock right here, if you go to level 1, let's see, level 1 colors. No, it's not that. We're going to go into settings here, and we're going to go under design and layout. So this layout right here, what you're seeing is these pieces of data here. So I have the high of day, the volume, the shares outstanding, which is sometimes similar to the float, but usually higher, but can give you a sense of what the float is, the listing exchange, and the percentage change on the day. And that's all I add. There's other stuff that you can add. You could add short interest, you could throw that in there. I don't know how accurate it is. You could add VWAP. I mean, this is stuff you can add. You can add more if you want. You can add a ton more. But this is just what I add, and I find that this is adequate. And then down here on the order entry window, for the most part, I don't ever use the inside bid or inside ask buttons. Clicking on them will change what's right here. So I never use those. But what I will do is I'll click the ask, and then sometimes I'll just, with my arrow button, I'll move this up, 5 or 10 cents. By pressing Control and the arrow button, it's gonna move it up 10 cents. So I might move it up a little bit and then just hover my mouse here and then click the buy button when I wanna go ahead and jump in. So, 2 shares, and then when I'm ready to get in, boom, punch that, click it, and I'm in. Punch that, click it, and I'm out. And this is a limit order by default. And that's the NASDAQ route, which I like to use. So I try to keep it pretty simple. You can go in here, let's see. Yeah, no, that is about it. Yeah, I think we pretty much covered everything there is to cover on this. There's some ways you can add more routes, which would be available from your drop down here, but you only really do that if you've set it up with Lightspeed and they've walked you through how to do that. All right, so now the next thing we're gonna cover are how to set up your hotkeys. Now, let me just say, for my strategy, hotkeys are absolutely critical. And it's one of the reasons that a number of the other platforms I've done platform demos on, I've just said, nope, wouldn't use it. Because if you don't have hotkeys, that's not possible. So Charles Schwab, using the Thinkorswim platform, technically they have them, but they're very limited. Interactive Brokers Lite, IBKR desktop, technically, but they don't auto send. Fidelity with Active Trader, no. Robinhood Legend, no. So if a platform does not have hotkeys, I will not use it for trading. I just wouldn't consider it. All right, so the way you set up the hotkeys in Lightspeed is not as intuitive as some of the other platforms out there. On Dash Trader, if you've watched my Dash Trader demo, that platform is quite intuitive to set up your hotkeys. I can go pull them up here and just show you what it looks like. So let's see. This is what the hotkey menu looks like over at Dash Trader. So if you wanted to add a new one, you click Add New Item, and then you type in the name, and then you do this script wizard where you say, I want to do a buy order, this number of shares, 1,000, whatever, and the symbol, the price. You can fill everything out here, and it's all set. Really nice, very easy to understand, easy to set up. Webull, similarly, very easy to use. Webull, you go to hotkeys, you go to trade, or go to settings, and then you go to trade and hotkey settings. And now create a new hotkey, and you can go in here, it's a buy order, and then you have all of these settings here that you can go through. So super easy to use as well. All right, Lightspeed, a little bit more complicated setup. You go into the settings widget, and you have to go to custom orders. And then you go to new commands right here. So let's create a new command, buy 10 shares. Annoyingly, you can't put any spaces and you can't put dashes. So you just have to read as if there's no spaces, not allowed. It's kind of annoying, but it's fine. It's not the end of the world. All right, so now this is our settings for this hotkey. So what market do we want to use? I'm going to do NSDQ. The reason I'm going to do NSDQ is because it's probably, arguably, the route that receives the most volume. And because it receives the most volume, you're most likely to have your order matched very quickly to someone on the other side. When you're buying to a seller, when you're selling to a buyer. So I like to route through NASDAQ. It is a buy order, by the way. So we're routing to NASDAQ. It is a limit order. So we're going to do limit orders. Being visible is fine, but you could also do hidden. Doesn't really matter. We're buying. And we're going to buy at the ask price. So the price of this order is going to be at the ask. But I could also do a 10-cent offset where I could make it go 10 cents above the ask. They call it through. Instead of calling it an offset, they say through the ask. This is a little bit confusing though, because what if I want to do an offset just under the ask? I have to do minus 0.01. So it's a little confusing. But we're going to do positive here. And we're going to do quantity and quantity. Quantity with a position to close, we'll do 10 shares. Quantity without a position to close, we'll also do 10 shares. So now we're going to map the key, and you come to this keyboard tab. So this was our custom orders tab here. Now we're on the keyboard tab. So we're going to go to the B button, and I'm going to do Shift B for buy. So where was that key? And I click on it. This is the custom commands. So I click on that key, and then I click on the key. S is for shift, C is for control, A is for alt. So shift B and map. You see what I mean? It's not, this would take you a while to figure this out. So now there you go. All right, so we've got that hotkey and it's done. Now we should probably make sure we have a hotkey to cancel orders. So under the keyboard, we can go to cancel order keys, and they already have cancel all or cancel all for stock. And so I like to put it on my control Q button. So control C plus Q. So click this and then map it, and it's going to be right there. I'll replace it. It's the same one, doesn't matter. And now it's good. All right, now let's go back and create one more hotkey, custom orders. So we're going to go, so we're going to do a new hotkey for sell half. Create new hotkey. So this is going to be a sell order. We're going to do NSDQ. Oops, NSDQ. It's a limit order. And we're going to do sell half ask. Let's just do it at the ask. All right, so we're going to put it at the ask. We'll make it a hidden order. It's going to be quantity. It's going to be closeout 50%, half of position. Quantity. Let's see. Actually, without position to close, I set it at 0. So if I press this button and I have no shares, it should do nothing. So that's what it'll do. So we did Shift B. So we'll just do H. We'll just do Control H for sell half. So where did that button go? So we got to go down alphabetical order. So sell half. I think we put it on the ask. Sell half ask. That's it. So map and then click OK. So now let's do on forward. So we're going to do Shift B. So I'm pressing the Shift button and now I press B once. And I bought 10 shares. Do you see how fast that went through? That was instantaneous. That's what we like about Lightspeed. It's fast. There's Shift 2 again. There's Shift 2 again. Now we're going to press Control H. Okay. So you see how my order is now sitting right there on the ask? My order is to sit on the ask. Now, do we like that? I mean, I guess it's okay, but we got to wait. Now I got to sit and wait for someone to buy my shares. Now, in this case, because there's already so many people at the ask at that price, I'm probably going to have to wait for a while. So if I really want to get out, I'm going to need to change that hotkey to sell at the bid. Now, the good news is I already have that hotkey. In fact, I have a number of hotkeys that are already scripted here. Some of these are very specific and wouldn't be probably relevant to you depending on the share size if you're trading with smaller size. But some of them would be very helpful. So those will be in my, the basic ones that I think are must have are in my layout. I don't want you to overcomplicate it. At this point, if we pull up my spare keyboard, so spare keyboard here. So right now, for the way I have it set up, Shift 1 is a buy order, and I have it for buy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are all buy orders. And the way it works is you press this, and if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you'll have sent that order 5 times. You don't have to lift your pinky up. You just press and hold, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Send it. And then to sell, I do Control Z to sell my full position. This sells my full position at the bid. So let's pull up the hotkey for that, because that's what we're going to need right now. So we're going to go into settings. We're going to go to custom orders, and we're going to go down to sell, bid. We'll just do full. So sell, NASDAQ, limit, bid, 10 cents. Now this is where I find it confusing. I actually want to sell 10 cents below the bid. Through is referring to through. So if you have to explain how a hotkey works with this type of physical motion, they've overcomplicated it, but that's okay. So they mean through the bid. So because I'm selling, going through the bid is going down. So 10 cents through the bid is 10 cents below the bid. But if you're buying and you're going through the ask, just like you're throwing something, you're going through the ask, 10 cents is going to be above the ask. So the problem here is that when we're doing offsets with other platforms, this would say offset and you would change it to -10. And it'd be a 10-cent offset below the bid. Anyways, doesn't matter. Once you know it, you know it. So this is 10 cents below the bid. and then that's done. So if I did this as -10 right here, if I change that to -10 and I said done and save, let's make sure that's saved. It put my order at 940. My sell order is 10 cents actually above the bid because I did -10. Now, that's not how you would want to set up that hotkey. If you really wanted to sell your shares and put a profit target up there, what I would do is I would say sell profit like this, and I would say go 10 cents above the ask. So it's a profit target 10 cents above the ask. And so I put that one on my button for Control P for profit target. Actually, sorry, it's Control semicolon. That's 10 cents above, and that's 20 cents above. So those are profit target hotkeys. So you could set those up as well if you wanted to. And now we got to go back in and change that one hotkey for selling on the bid. So we're going to go to sell, full, and we're going to change it to bid, take away the minus. And now when I press this button, what's going to happen? Instantly, shares are gone. Gone at 9:30. So for me, this is how fast I can trade. So just jumping in like that and then jumping out, jumping in, jumping out, jumping in, jumping out. I mean, that's only limited by how fast I can type. It's how fast it's going through. And those are orders that are actually going through the market right here. Now, this is where now you understand how to set up the hotkeys. And if you download my layout, you'll have all my hotkeys here. The hotkeys that I have include the buying hotkeys, the selling on the bid hotkeys, selling on the ask hotkeys. Those are the ones that are most essential. And then once you've got those down, you want to add some fancy ones for profit targets. Of course, your cancel orders you'll have. You want to add stop orders, add stop at break even. You can do that, but don't overcomplicate it. Memorize a small set of hotkeys first and then add more from there. So now let's talk about the commission structure at Lightspeed. Lightspeed is not a commission-free broker. So this is where at the beginning of this episode, I said, look at this section over here. So I've taken a total of 286 trades today. I took 14 of them right there on Ford, just for this demonstration. So how much do I pay in fees and commissions? Well, let's pull up Lightspeed's website. So if you go to Lightspeed Trading and you go to pricing right down here and you go to stocks and ETFs, you will see that they have two pricing models. They have per share right here, and they have per trade right here. So pricing, they advertise as low as $2 per trade, which means each time you press that buy button or that sell button and an order gets filled, you don't get charged for orders that you cancel, but every time you get a partial fill, you pay $2. Now I've negotiated my rate lower because of how aggressively I trade and how long I've been trading there, but their low rate here, they advertise at $2. So that means to take all of these trades today would be almost $600 in fees and in commissions. That is the per trade commission. So each time you have a trade, it counts as a ticket and you pay your rate, which is per trade. Now, per trade for me is cheaper than per share. So per share is 0.001, which means if you take 2,000 shares, you're going to pay $10. Let's see, $20. Sorry, $20. So you'll pay $20. I'm sorry, what am I doing here? So 0.001, 1,000 shares is $1, 2,000 shares is $2. So you'll pay $2. So if you're trading with more than 2,000 shares, then you might as well switch to per trade. So for me, 10,000 shares is still only the flat per trade rate. 20,000 shares, 100,000 shares, it's the same. This is really only good for people who are trading large caps like Tesla or Netflix, who frequently just trade in 50, 100, 200 share blocks, moving in, moving out. Anyone who trades more than 2,000 shares, you're going to want to be over on the per trade pricing. Okay, so then my fees and commissions today were $286 or $280. Well, for me, it's $1 per ticket. That's what I negotiated it down to. So you're not going to get that unless you're trading as frequently as I am. So I wouldn't expect that. But for me, it's $286 for all of these trades I took today. That's it, right? Wrong. Not even close. All right. So here's the deal. With a commission-free broker, you have no commissions. How does it work? Commission-free brokers, what do? You send your order. This is you right here. This is you. You say, I want to buy. This is the broker in the middle, and this is the exchange here. So this would be NSDQ, NASDAQ. So the broker, typically, you take your order, it goes through the broker, and then the broker sends it to NASDAQ, it comes back, and then you get your shares filled, right? So the broker's the intermediary. Until they came up with this little idea of payment for order flow. And payment for order flow is where your order goes to instead a institutional market maker or a wholesaler. And they actually pay the broker. They say, broker, send all your orders through us. We're going to bypass the exchange. Instead of the exchange making money on this order flow, we want to make money on it. So the broker or the market maker pays for the broker to send all their orders through them here. And because they're paying for it, the broker is now able to give you free trading. The only problem is there's a little conflict of interest here, which is that the market maker is not incentivized to actually give you the best price. Their incentive is to make the most money. But still, they have to give the broker some profit as well. So they need to make some money. The broker needs to make money. And so they're going to give you essentially, a good way to put it is they're going to give you the lowest price that's required by regulation, essentially. So they're going to give you what some would say is price improvement, but they're going to give you the least price improvement required by regulation. And the rest of the profit they keep for themselves, and some of it goes to the broker. So in this relationship here, you have commission-free trading. And while they say you get price improvement, there's also a lot of flaws with the system. And it's created a deeply segregated market where these brokers and all these market makers and all the orders here are completely disconnected from the actual stock market exchange. It's existing in a completely separate pool. So if I'm over here and I say I want to buy 50,000 shares and I'm on NASDAQ and you're here and you say you want to sell 50,000 shares, we might never see each other because we're divided by this payment for order flow relationship. The broker and the market makers are over here and they won't send your order out to the market, so we don't get to have our shares actually interact. So the problem here for a retail trader trading with small share size, commission-free trading is great. It's cheap. It costs you nothing to trade. And do you possibly not get as good of fills as if you sent your order to the market? This is arguable because all these brokers file these disclosures that show that you do get price improvement. But what we know is that the order execution speed is slower. We know that beyond a shadow of a doubt. The execution speed is not as fast as when you send your order directly to the market. So you're losing speed in exchange for being free. But speed is important. And so in my opinion, it's so important because I like to trade breaking news. So when news comes out, I want to trade and I want to make sure I get in very quickly. Now, obviously I've taken so many trades today. I mean, I've done a lot of trading, but for a lot of those trades, certainly earlier in the move, execution speed was very important. So I pay the commission to my broker, but I have additional fees as well. And the fees that I have are called the order routing fees. So when you send your order to the market, this goes through a route. And these routes charge a fee. It's kind of like a toll booth. And so you pay a fee on a per share basis. Now, the broker and this relationship with payment for order flow, the reason that you used to pay $9.99 was because the broker was paying this fee to NASDAQ. So they were paying the fee for all these orders that would go through, and then they would cover it with the commission. But in this relationship here, the market maker says, no, just send all your orders through us. We'll fill the order. There's not going to be a routing fee. We're going to figure it out ourselves. We'll make money on it. And so all of a sudden, the commissions go away and the routing fee is gone. So the broker has a big smile, and this guy's got a big smile. And in theory, they'd like us to think that we have a big smile too because we've got free trading. But you're only going to be sad if speed is really important to you. And for me, it is. So I'm going to instead continue going this path here. And that means these routes I'm going to continue to use. Now, not as many people use them as in previous times, but I still have to use these routes. I still have to pay, and the fee is 0.003 per share, which means 1,000 shares equals how much? $3. $3. Okay. So this is the table at Lightspeed that shows you the fees. And they vary depending on which route you use. These routes are kind of like different bridges to the island, and the island being the market. There's different reasons why traders might choose one route or another. Some of it is the fees and the rebates that you get. When you send an order to the market and you send an order that's marketable, I'll show you an example. So this order right here, that's marketable. So immediately I took liquidity out of the market. I took liquidity out of the market because there was someone selling and I took their shares. But if I put my order here and it sits and I have to wait and wait and wait until I get filled, I'm actually adding liquidity to the market. My order is sitting right there, and now if someone else wants to come and take that from me, they can take it in an instant and the order will be gone. So I would actually get a rebate for adding liquidity to the market, and someone else would pay the fee. This is called a maker-taker fee structure. And so if I sell this now, what you'll see is that I bought 3,700 shares, I bought that many, I also sold that many, and I traded 7,500 shares. And how much liquidity did I add to the market? 0. I added 0 liquidity to the market. So now we got to do the math. 7,500 shares. All right, so I got 7,500 shares there on that stock. We'll just do it here, it doesn't matter. So 7,500 shares times 0.003. So 7 times 3 is 21. So approximately $21. Approximately. That's $21. Plus, don't forget, I had to pay the commission. Now, this is the fee just to route right here. That goes to who? NASDAQ, NSDQ. That goes to the exchange. And then the one buy order, the one sell order at the standard rate, that'd be $4. That goes to who? Lightspeed, because that's their commission. So that means this was a $25 order right there. That was $25 for that order. So here's what I've learned. If I'm trading a stock and I can only make maybe 2 or 3 cents on it, it's not worth it because of fees and commissions. So for me, my fees and commissions today, because I traded 700,000 shares, would be approximately $2,100. Well, almost $2,400 because we're close to 800,000 shares. 2,400 plus another 300 right here. We'll just round up. So we're getting close to $2,700. But I got rebates for adding liquidity on 200,000 shares. And what's the rebate? Well, the rebate is just slightly less, but it's about the same. So now I'm actually going to pick up about $600 in rebates. So my net out of pocket is around $2,000. And typically, it's about 10% of my profit. Now, today it's a little less than that, and I'm okay with that. This, to me, is the cost of doing business. I have done small account challenges, and I've done a challenge where I traded side by side with someone who was using a commission-free broker, and we just tested, like, how do we do? And I outperformed them. I did better. I did better because I was able to trade faster. When the stock had breaking news and it was squeezing, my order was filled, and it was filled instantly. When a stock was dropping, I needed to get out, boom, I was out. It was gone instantly. So that fast execution, to me, is worth paying for. It helped me avoid outsized losses. It helps me get in sooner. And in fact, if you really think about it, 700,000 shares traded total today. So 700,000 shares, I mean, that's obviously a lot of shares. I trade quite a lot today. But if my execution was improved by, let's just say, even half a penny, even if I got just half a cent of better execution because my execution was faster and I was able to get in where I wanted and get out where I wanted. Let's just do the math. So let's jump back onto the whiteboard. Okay, so we're gonna do, we'll round up to 800,000 shares just to make the math easier. So 800,000 shares, and let's just say I got price improvement times 0.005. That's half of a penny. If I got a half penny of better execution, how much would that have saved me today? $4,000. $4,000. And that's just on half a penny. Now, and then we're talking about averages, right? There could be a number of trades that I would have gotten the same more or less execution as anyone else. But it could be that there were a few trades that were very critical, where I had big size and where I absolutely needed to be in at that moment to capitalize on a 50-cent per share breakout. And if I hadn't gotten in, I would have missed the whole thing, right? Well, all of a sudden, that one trade makes the whole difference. It makes the day. Now, I'll just show you as an example. There were a couple trades just like that today. So here on, let's see, the stock that I made the most on earlier was WOK. So this has sold off quite a bit. But nonetheless, earlier today when it was squeezing up, I had a couple of really nice trades on it. And this was one that I got right here. So right here, it popped up over 5, it pulled back, and then it pulled away. And in that moment right there, I got in at 507, and it squeezes up to about 540. So that little trade right there, the difference of execution speed for me getting in at 507, 508, and someone else, because the second it broke out, and we just zoom in on the 10-second chart, you look at how big some of these 10-second candles are, and you realize that, wow, the difference in execution speed, of potentially seconds is scary, right? So I'm in right down here at 507. 2 seconds later, 3 seconds later, it's at 518, then 528, 530, 540, right? So, now you could say, Ross, you're just rationalizing. You're paying a lot in fees and commissions, and it's really not worth it. But I disagree. I've traded with commission-free brokers, and I think they're great for smaller accounts. But I think at a certain point, you're going to want the advanced order routing that you get with these types of brokers. So another type of order that they offer is what's called a super smart order. So a super smart order down here, I'll show you this one. We'll do this for whatever, 2,000 shares. So what this does is this sends your order to 4 different markets at the exact same second. And what it does is it tries to extract liquidity and pull your order from the market before the market makers have a chance to jump out of the way. So if I press this order, this is going to be a little expensive, but I'll do it anyways. So that filled, and that actually went, so both of these, although they're super smart orders, they went through instantaneously. But you can see here the way it filled in sort of these clumps right there. And now I'm going to do a super smart sell order. So I'm going to go like this, but it's so fast. It's instantaneous. I mean, it's hard to even tell, but that's the type of routing that you can use. And over at Thinkorswim, you get nothing. You can't do anything. You get the buy button. You want to do 1,500 shares, buy market. All right, you're in. Okay, you want to sell market, you're out. Right? In and out, ends up being a break-even trade, whatever. But you try doing that with 15,000 shares, 25,000 shares, 30,000 shares, and you're going to have some problems. So you just don't have the ability to customize. And one thing that you can do at Lightspeed, which is nice, is you can hide your orders. You can hide your shares. So this is something that you're allowed to do. You don't have to tip your hat to the entire market if you're trying to sell 500,000 shares. Now, I don't hold 500,000 share positions, but just the very fact that you can do that is nice. So here's the problem. Let's say you've got a 100,000 share position and you want to sell half of it. Putting a 50,000 share sell order inherently could hurt your own position because other people will see, oh, someone's trying to unload 50,000 shares. So to avoid you having to hurt yourself by tipping your hand that you're trying to unload, you can hide your shares. So direct access brokers and brokers that really cater to active traders, institutional traders, they'll allow you to hide your shares. So now you're putting your order out there and it's a hidden order. Now we talk about that quite a bit when we're talking about how to read level 2 tape reading, because you'll detect hidden orders on the book. But it's really a small group of traders that even have the ability to do that because most people don't know how to do it. So I'm just thinking that if you're really serious about this, once you get to the point of proving consistency and profitability on a platform like Webull or Thinkorswim, which again, the half penny that you're saving, and it doesn't really matter when you're trading 8,000 shares a day, right? So you're trading 80,000 shares a day. All right, maybe that's $400. You're trading 8,000 shares a day. Maybe it's $40, right? You start to get to a point where is it really worth it for the fees and commissions? Where's the line? Now you have to decide for yourself. But for a smaller account, this isn't going to be the difference between break even and profitable. It's not going to be the difference between winning and losing, but it can be the difference between someone who's making money making quite a bit more. In my opinion, that's the way I look at it. So now let's pull up our broker comparison sheet. So we've certainly talked about the fees and commissions, and that's going to be no doubt the biggest drawback. So here's Lightspeed Trading, and we've got the two platforms that you could use Sterling as well. They have a couple different platforms that they offer. I don't know if we still have their page up, but it doesn't matter. So the two that I've really considered seriously is Lightspeed Trader and Dash Trader. So let's go to the top. I give Lightspeed Trading a raw score of a 9. The execution speed is second to none. They're so fast. I absolutely love it. Now I've used Centerpoint. They felt pretty much as fast, but they didn't have some of the advanced routing and proprietary technology that Lightspeed has. CMEG is definitely slower. Ocean One, haven't used it with real money myself, so have only watched people, and so I can't say for certain. Trade Zero, these ones are disclosed, and these are their speeds. And they're all the commission-free brokers that offer commission-free trading. I mean, the fastest ones, TradeStation, 0.004 seconds. I mean, it's longer. Look, for a lot of traders, it might not make the difference, but if you're trying to trade breaking news and something that's moving fast, it does. So here, execution speed, boom, we got it. Do we have reliability? We've got that too, but we have the cost. So it's actually, I'm gonna reduce this, $2 per trade. They recently reduced it. It was $2.95, now it's $2. So $2 per trade. Now, one thing I'll say is that Lightspeed is $2 per trade. Guardian and Centerpoint are per share. So if you go over to Centerpoint Securities, which is another popular broker, and it is popular also because they accept Canadians, you go to pricing, and their pricing is per share. Equities as low as 0.001. So that means if you do a 50,000 share buy order, it's $50. If I do a 50,000 share buy order, how much am I paying? The flat rate, right? Yes, you still pay the routing fee, but this is where the fees are split between routing fees and the commission to the broker. So Centerpoint and Guardian are both more expensive, and CMEG is also, I mean, these are all, so as far as this type of broker goes, I think Lightspeed is the least expensive. Do you get direct routing? Yes, and you get a lot of customized routing as well. That's true with all of these platforms. Do you get price improvement? No, you don't get price improvement because you're not part of the payment for order flow system. Do you pay routing fees? Yes, you do. So this is where, you know, and then maybe I should make this red because this is where things get expensive. It's really the routing fees that cost a lot of money. It's not really the per ticket. The PDT rule, yes, they enforce the PDT rule. They're a US broker dealer. The only ones that don't would be CMEG, Ocean One, Trade Zero, but they don't accept US residents. And then Webull if you're at one of the international branches. 4 times leverage, that's standard. The only ones that offer 6 times leverage are these 3 that are international. Paper trading, yes, they offer it. Minimum account size, 10,000, but they require the PDT rule, so they really require 25,000 to day trade. Short inventory is good. It's not as good as Guardian or Centerpoint. Those two are a little bit better. Extended hours, 4 a.m. to 8 p.m. Excellent desktop experience. Level 2, fantastic, works great. Hotkeys, offsets, selling by percentage of position, halt levels and halt resumptions, yes. So on our level 2, we can see where a stock is going to be halted. Let's see, was it this one? So 694 is the halt level, LULD in red. So 568 going down. So the way we see that is we go into, let's see, highlights, and we add for all, and we add LULD, and then you just change the color to what you want it to be. You say okay, and then you click add, and it's done. Well, I already added it, but that's the way you do it. So you can see the halt levels, and when a stock is halted, you can see resumption prices. You do get advanced order routing, the super smart fan orders. You can do pegged orders at Lightspeed. You can hide your shares as well. You'd be able to do that with Guardian and Centerpoint as well. Not sure about hiding shares with these ones. Not sure. Charting. So you may have noticed, where are the charts? Lightspeed's charts aren't very good. In the past, we saved so much money with a discount broker versus a retail broker that we didn't mind just paying for a third-party charting vendor. Today, a lot of platforms like Webull have pretty nice charts, but I'm accustomed to using a third-party platform. We've built out Daytrade Dash, which is for charting, scanning, newsfeed, and of course the my live audio video broadcast. So this is what I use for charting and scanning, and it's separate from Lightspeed. So they don't perform well, in my opinion, on charting, and that's a concession. They don't have sub 1 minute time frames. They don't accept Canadians. They do accept international accounts, but just not from Canadians. Market data costs about $67 a month. And then, yes, they allow retirement accounts and OTC stocks. They do have a new crypto division, but it's separate, and they have some Forex and futures. So they get a 9. This is the highest platform. The only thing that I've ranked and reviewed, the only things that would make it better would be if the routing fees were able to go lower, which they don't really have any control over, and you would pay the same thing with all these other brokers. I think their platform could use some improvements. Some things could be a little bit more intuitive, setting up hotkeys, linking, easy to borrow, hard to borrow. But at the same time, if it's not broken, don't mess with it. And it works really well. And I would hate to see them do something like what, Interactive Brokers or Fidelity or Robinhood, have done, where they say, oh, we're going to launch a brand new platform, and all of a sudden they're like, here it is, Robinhood Legend. Where's the level 2? We don't have that. Where are the hotkeys? We don't have that either. Wait a second. What are we doing here? This is not a serious platform. This is not for serious traders. So that's the last thing we would want. So small enhancements, small improvements would be great, but I certainly hope they don't do anything too big, because I wouldn't want to lose all the great functionality that they have. So that's the platform demo. That's my honest review. And I would be thrilled if you guys leave me comments of other brokers that you'd like me to do platform demos of. You can leave those in the comments down below. Any questions, feel free to throw them down there as well. And I want to thank you as always for tuning in to this special episode. So I will see you for the next upload real soon.